Welcome back to Team Castle Universe and TCU Talks. Today we have a really exciting topic for you guys. This is a little bit more on the businessy side, so I hope you gain some good value of this. We're going to be talking about the power of the percent today. So what does that mean? We're going to be talking about interest and its power to infect different areas. So things from investing, inflation, consumer debts, mortgages, and a lot more. So guys, really listen in. This is going to be a game changer. This is something we wish we should have learned when we were a young age, right? We should have learned this in like junior high. Unfortunately, it's just not something that we've ever learned. So we're going to start off by learning the basics, and one of the basics fundamentals of learning about interest or percentages and how it works is something called the rule of 72. Now, this is an estimate to figure out the number of years it's going to take your money to double, okay? So it can be used for anything, like I said, interest, investing, or debt, a bunch of different things, but we're going to talk about a few different areas today. Essentially, you take your interest rate, okay, or the percentage, and you divide that into 72. What that will equal is the number of years it takes your money to double, okay? Linda's going to go through some example here just to get a little bit more of an idea of how that works.
So let's look first on the side of investing money. If you have your money sitting in an account growing at a rate of 1%, 1 goes into 72 times, which means your money's going to double every 72 years.
Wow. I don't think nobody got time for that.
Nobody's got time for that. Now, let's say your same amount of money is growing at a rate of 6%. 6 goes into 72 12 times, which means every 12 years your money's going to double. So let's put this into a realistic scenario. Let's say someone at the age of 30 years old, they have $10,000 they're looking to invest. If they invested at 1%, it's going to take 72 years to double, which means by the time they hit the age of 102, it will finally hit 20,000.
Wow. So you're saying it'll take 72 years for that 10,000 to grow to 20,000.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And
crazy.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to be 102 before I get to retire.
Well, you ain't retiring at that.
You ain't retiring with 20,000.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty difficult. Now, let's say that same 30-year-old takes that $10,000 and they invest it at 6%. That means by 42, it's going to double to 20. By 54, it's going to double to 40. By 66, which is a much nicer retirement age, it'll be at $80,000. Now, $80,000 may not necessarily be what you want at retirement, but that's $10,000 if you never added anything else to it. So using that to your advantage, a rule of 72, can really help you get to your retirement goals faster.
Yeah, really, it's like you're thinking about a vehicle, right? There's a bunch of different styles of vehicles out there. So if you have a punch buggy, right, maybe an older one, she's still going to get you from A to B, right, over time. You might have to stop a few times, things like that. But if you had a Ferrari or like a Lamborghini, well, it's going to get you there a lot faster, okay? So things to think about as my money working as hard as I am. Right, I think that's a big concept.
Absolutely.
On the flip side of that, interest rates can work good for you on the growth side of things. Percentages can help you grow your money really fast. But we can always look on the opposite side of that. So something called debts. Okay? The average Canadian has a credit card, right? Maybe a line of credit, maybe a student loan they're still paying off. So how do interest rates affect that? Well, let's look at a basic credit card. Most people have like a rewards type credit card. Maybe something has points or cash back. Typically, those sit around 19.9. Well, for simple math, let's use 20%.
Yeah.
So if you take 20 into the same rule, 20 into 72 equals every 3.6 years-ish. Okay? So that means your debt is doubling every 3.6 years. So, and I know that's kind of mind-blowing, and that might take a minute for that to sink in, that, hey, our debt's doubling every 3.6 years. Have you ever felt the feeling where you're paying off debt and it just keeps coming back, right? You put $1,000 in debt, and then the next month it seems like it just came back up there, and you don't feel like you've really spent any more money on it? That's the power of the interest that the institutes have put into place that are kind of getting in our way. So something to think about. What we want to do is lower our debt rates, right, that we're paying. So can we get that 20% maybe down to like 8, maybe 6%, something like that? And then can we get our investments up into the higher ones, right? Instead of that 1% savings account at the bank, can we get that now working for us at like 8, 12, 20%?
And I do think it's important just to point out, because I know oftentimes when we say 6% or 8%, a lot of people instantly think, oh man, those have to be very high risk investments. And that's not the case. There are plenty of very balanced or conservative portfolios that perform at these rates. It's just important that you have an advisor who's able to show you those options.
Yeah, do the research. Find out what works for you and your goals. Not everyone's goals are the same, so do your due diligence. Ask the experts who know what they're talking about. I'm going to talk about one last area, and there's going to be a few more numbers here, so maybe if you want to write this down, or I want to try to put numbers here, but I can't guarantee it for those people on podcasts and stuff like that, so just try to follow along. I'm going to go slowly through it. I'm going to talk about mortgages and how, especially right now, our interest rates for mortgages are really, really good. How these can make a big difference in the next 20, 25 years that you own a home, because it's one of our biggest investments. Or if you're a real estate investor, this might have an impact as well. So let's start off with a basic example. An average home around $350,000, maybe a first starter home, something like that. We're going to say an average interest rate, probably last year or the year before, is around 3%, something like that, 2.5, 3%. We're going to use 3% for this example. Over 25 years, your payment for that 3% term will be about $1,600, something like that. That will be your mortgage payment, okay? The total interest that if you paid an average of 3% over the 25 years, your total interest that you would have paid on that $350,000 mortgage would be about $148,000, okay? So I'm going to slow that down again. If you got an average of 3% over the 25 years you had your mortgage, you would pay a total of $148,000 in interest. Your total mortgage plus interest would then end up being about $497,922-ish dollars. Okay?
Which realistically means that when you bought a $350,000 house, you really bought yourself a $500,000 house.
Yeah, and the same thing works for cars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's take an example and let's lower that interest rate by 1%. Same exact example, lowered 1%. So an average of 2% over the same 25 years. So your mortgage payment would then be $1,483 versus the $1,600 that you're paying before. Okay? The interest you would pay on this now 1% lower mortgage would be about $95,000. So that means in total, you would pay about $445,047. Okay? So what does that mean? The difference in the monthly payment would be about $177 a month, which doesn't seem like a lot, but really it ends up to be about $2,000, something like that. I think at the end of the year.
Over the course of a year.
Yes, if that's my math is right. And then in total of having your mortgage, that would mean you put an extra $52,000 and change back in your pocket. This is 1% on average difference on a mortgage. Would you rather have $50,000 in your pocket, or would you like to give that away to the lenders who lent you the money for that mortgage? It's your choice, right? And this is something I think people don't quite realize is, hey, when rates are good, I don't want to refinance because it's only 1%. Well, that percent equals $50,000. And imagine now if you had an even bigger mortgage, $500,000, $1 million that your mortgage is, that 1% even becomes more valuable. Linda's mind is blowing. Now, obviously, these numbers are approximates. It's not factoring in refinancing or adding in debt or anything like that, or if you have a rental property. There's a lot of different factors there. So I just wanted to show you guys a simple example of the power of the interest rate. I think it is something that we underestimate, that we just let kind of happen and don't focus on, but it is something that we want to focus on. So summary, get your investments into the higher interest rate, get your debts into the lower interest rate, and you will be winning, and however that turns out. Cool.
Love it.
Lastly, in summary, remember that we still have the TCU Foundation. And remember, you can nominate somebody for that $100. Okay? Make sure it's somebody that's given back to you. Maybe that's contributed a lot. Somebody who's selfless. Somebody who maybe is in need of some extra help. That $100 could make a difference for them. Also, we have podcasts that you can listen into. We'll have them down below, just how to get to those as well. Thank you for joining us. I hope you gained some value. Go back and listen to this a couple of times. I think there's a lot of nuggets here, things that you can pass down to your kids or whatever it may be. Thank you for joining us on TCU Talks. Linda and I love you and appreciate you guys for joining. See you later.